We're going to do a review of a movie we saw yesterday.
50 Shades of Grey.
I have read the book.
And I have not.
Surprise, surprise. But, so I'm going to give you what my take was on it.
And I'll give you mine.
And mine's going to be more based on the fact that I really enjoyed the book. And Kyle just saw it because I asked him to see it with me. Spoilers galore, because if you haven't read the book, haven't seen the movie, we're going to talk about specific instances in the movie and compared to the book. So if you don't want to have any spoilers, don't watch us. So for the beginning of this movie, I was very, very unimpressed
And I was making sarcastic comments.
through the entire thing. It just seemed super abrupt, like they were just jumping from one thing to another that happened in the book, which, to be fair, the book at the beginning, there were like random Anastasia running into Christian kind of instances that weren't quite as random as they were supposed to be made to seem. But the movie just was trying to like go through them super fast, I felt like, instead of like building it up and like making the characters.
My impression was that they were trying to hammer a lot of character development into single scenes. When Anna first when she first interviews Christian, he gives her a pencil to use, and she puts it next to her mouth. Pretty much. And and you're supposed to think, oh, I can tell she's attracted to him. It was more like, holy crap, back off. She doesn't need to deep throat a pencil for us to know she's attracted to him.
They were trying to like point out the fact that he like really like felt attracted to her and wanted to like jump her bones basically whenever she bit her lip and stuff like that, and they didn't accomplish that in a subtle way at all. What ended up happening in the movie was more like through it, when they could have done something a lot less noticeable and just had Christian like pointed out slightly.
My impression of most people biting their lips. Here's Anastasia biting her lip.
It looked like she was trying to eat her bottom lip half the time.
Yep.
They cut, as you got further into the movie, they didn't like do things quite as dramatically as they did at the beginning.
Yeah, they shoehorned all the character development into the beginning, and then later on they could sort of let it flow naturally.
Once they got into it a little bit, things didn't seem like as corny and thrown together as I felt like they were in the beginning. I was surprised at the rating. I guess I don't really understand the rating system very well for like what's considered rated R and what's considered NC-17, I guess. Because, I mean, they showed a lot more in this movie than they do in regular movies, I suppose. But they also got rid of a lot of scenes that were in the book that didn't happen in the movie at all. Of Pain seemed very accurate based on what they had put in the book.
Looks just like mine.
As did like Christian's house and stuff, and they did make it seem like it was like really, he was just a very cut off person and wanted things like super clean and very modern, but didn't want it to look lived in at all. So I thought they did well with the setting. Wasn't very pleased with the actor or actress they chose.
I thought she did okay. But I expected someone sort of like Christian Bale from American Psycho as Christian. But he was more Orlando Bloom pretty. I would like to know the complex algorithm that lets them decide how much dick can be shown. Because in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, they show all of the main character's dick for a short time. But in this movie, you got to see parts of his dick many times for short periods of time. So I don't know if they all add up to,
The size of a penis
yeah.
or not.
Like, you can only show one penis for 2 seconds, but if you show half a penis, you can do 4 seconds of shot.
The biggest problem I had with this movie, because while the beginning was really corny, and I wish they had done it a little bit better because they just jumped all over the place, I felt like the worst part of this movie for me, after having read the book, was the end scene. I felt like they did not accomplish the end scene in the way they should have. In the book, towards the very end of the book, what happens is they have a scene and she ends up saying the code word of red they had talked about, and he kind of like freaks out and immediately like releases her from like these ropes that she's tied up with in restraints, and I don't know, it felt like they brought in more of a scene from the beginning of the book for the last part of the movie.
I had a different problem with the end. He hits her 6 times with a belt while she's just bent forward on a table, and she seems to deal pretty well with it as far as belt hittings are concerned. And then she stands up and freaks out. She didn't freak out when it was happening. Maybe, seemed upset, a little bit in pain. Didn't freak out. Stands up and suddenly believes he's a monster. Like, she didn't know this based on the fact that he has a room full of what are essentially erotic torture devices.
I think what they were going for was like the fact that him making her feel pain gives him pleasure thing is what threw her over the edge.
I think she already knew that.
But you would think she already knew that, and she had already started talking about it during like the middle of the movie, so I don't know. I didn't understand why they had done it in that particular way. It's been a long time since I've read the books, I'm not gonna lie, but from what I remember, I think towards the end of the first book, what kind of throws her over the edge to make her feel like he's more of a monster is not like a physical beating like the last scene of the movie shows. It's more like he's teasing her with like these intense sensation kind of things in all these different ways, but like refuses to let her have any like ultimate pleasure out of it.
Sex.
Or an orgasm in general.
And it was one of those movies where you expect a lot of sex scenes and general sexiness. And while they did accomplish the sex scenes, they somehow managed to make it fairly unsexy.
And I'd probably give it like a 5. And I'm usually it doesn't take much to impress me with movies a lot of the time. But I guess it takes more to impress me with movies that are based on books that I like. So,
For me, it was better than I thought it was going to be. Certainly after the first half an hour. Was it as good as the average movie? Not the average movie that I like. So I'm going to give it a 4, but it just wasn't Finding Nemo.
And we're not going to be comparing Finding Nemo to 50 Shades anyway.
I just did. So, thanks for watching, guys. That is our critique of 50 Shades of Grey. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will see you soon.
Don't forget to like and subscribe down at the bottom. See you next Tuesday.
Exaggerated Lip Bite?